It's Friday, the 28th of October, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 big stories today in 5 minutes. Let's jump into story number 1. ANZ Bank yesterday demonstrated the benefits of higher interest rates to lenders, unveiling a 5% jump in profit. Not bad.
Not bad. The bank made $6.55 billion. The increase reflected a jump in the bank's net interest margin. Essentially, that's the difference between what ANZ pays on deposits and receives on loans. The only problem is that the boss, Sean Aylmer, warned that geopolitical uncertainty and rising interest rates clouded the outlook. Now, the bank, which is the 4th largest behind Commonwealth Bank, National Australia Bank and Westpac, had strong results across all its businesses. Funny thing about the banks, they should do well when interest rates rise, but until about 4 weeks ago, they just hadn't. But this past 4 weeks, investors have really taken to them. Commonwealth Bank and National Australia Bank share prices are up 10% over the past month, Westpac's 13%, and ANZ, even though it went backwards by 3.3% yesterday, it's still 7% higher than it was a month ago.
Sean, story number 2 is kind of linked to story number 1, really, because it's about a bank and interest rates. Not necessarily good news for homeowners, with Westpac tipping a 50 basis point interest rate hike on Tuesday, Melbourne Cup Day, of course, when the Reserve Bank Board meets.
The bank's chief economist, Bill Evans, who has been following the Reserve Bank for several decades and isn't one to jump at shadows, thinks the inflation figures this week were such a surprise that the Central Bank Board will have to lift rates more than they want. Official inflation figures on Wednesday show that headline inflation hit a 32-year high during the September quarter. Underlying inflation was also higher than expected. Dr. Evans now thinks the cash rate will get to about 3.85%. That's 1.25% higher than what it is now. Imagine if your home loan is 1.25% higher than what it is now. People will really feel it.
Yeah, there's a lot of pain in there. Story number 3, Sean, this is a big story that's developing. Employer groups are not happy with the federal government's proposed industrial relations bill that was tabled in Parliament yesterday, saying it is a seismic shift to workplace relations and risks jobs and the economic outlook.
Under the proposed legislation, unions would have the right to strike across employers for higher pay. It also includes reforms such as simplifying enterprise bargaining, creating enforceable rights to flexible work, meaning people must be allowed to work flexibly, limiting fixed-term contracts, banning pay secrecy, imagine that, everyone knowing exactly how much everyone got paid, mandating arbitration for intractable enterprise bargaining disputes and abolishing the union watchdog in the Australian Building and Construction Commission. Now, Workplace Relations Minister Tony Burke said the bill lowered barriers to bargaining, given only 15% of people are covered by an in-term agreement. Senior business leaders are not happy. Both Qantas boss Alan Joyce and Commonwealth Bank's Matt Comyn yesterday, in muted terms admittedly, spoke out against it.
Sean, story number 4, the International Energy Agency. How about this one? For the first time, they have forecast that use of fossil fuels is expected to plateau or peak, marking a historical moment for society, really.
Yes, it's really worth noting this report, which came out last night. The agency said even if no new policies are introduced, the world will soon be using less fossil fuel energy. Coal use is expected to decline in coming years. Natural gas will plateau by the end of the decade, and oil use is expected to level off in the mid-2030s. A big part of the reason for peak fossil fuel is the huge spending, particularly in Europe, to develop renewables and shift away from Russian oil and gas. Whatever the reason, Michael, a pretty significant moment in history.
Sure is. Story number 5, Sean, Elon Musk has visited the headquarters of Twitter, telling staff that he doesn't really plan to cut 75% of employees when he takes over.
Musk, whose $44 billion deal for Twitter is on track to close, possibly tonight even, denied the previously reported number in an address to employees at the company's San Francisco office. Now, the billionaire is still expected to cut staff as part of the takeover. That'll cause plenty of angst among workers. And earlier yesterday, Mr. Musk posted a video clip of himself walking into the offices carrying a kitchen sink. I do not know why. He changed his Twitter profile description to read Chief Twit. Maybe he got that one right.
Okay, there we go. Top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Friday, the 28th of October, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and don't forget to check out our other podcast, How Do They Afford That, with Hannah Campbell, the founder of Sugar Mama TV, all about making your money work a little bit harder for you. This week's episode is all about the household budget. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was The Fast Five by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.